Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 55th episode of Cultist Simulator, the Librarian run, playing as Van Vucetic, the detective. So, I did a little bit of a recap in the previous episode, just in terms of where the playthrough was, what I'm trying to do. The most immediate things that I'm taking care of, we are using the Callagine to destroy evidence, so that's why I'm painting a zine to keep them around. But we're going to clear out the rest of the Rending Mountains, and I'd forgotten between recording episodes to double check, whether or not I had locations in the Lone and Level Sands to take care of. I was fairly sure that we did at least the Eye of Ikermawi, and we actually got hit by the curse for that. But again, my recollections of things don't matter as much as the evidence that I've actually gone there. So, in this case, I should have a text which is relevant for that location. But we're not at the point where I need to be worrying about those yet, so I'm gonna leave it be. The reason we were painting was so that we can do some more upgrades for our lore. We're actually getting kind of near the end of sort of the reserve that I had, so I may or may not do something with the Furtive Truth. The thing is that the lower level lore was really that's an artifact from when I was trying to do something different, and it takes a long time to just be able to move these things up. So honestly, just focusing on Vagabond's maps that's totally fine for me. And we have another season of Despair coming up. I think we've already dealt with all of the dread, but there are going to be consequences if I go to the Worm Museum at the Peacock's door. So I may be reluctant to do that. The Wolf Despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. I don't really need to paint or to pay for the paints, but again, I'd be surprised if we end this playthrough with less than 200 as far as funds goes. I suppose the next challenge is to see whether or not it's possible to cause the funds number to overflow. I see the mistakes, but I can also see the end. I haven't seen that before. Exceptional work. This is something special. It may provoke a reaction. I don't think we're going to be able to save this, but obviously I like putting in the one that's not going to be, or the one that will expire later. Alright, my recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. Now, I believe we got a notoriety as a result of that because we were painting a zine. Okay, couple glimmering to show for it. That's always nice. No staleness also. Cool. But yeah, again, the worry about notoriety, that's just really not there anymore. I'm worried if I have evidence against me, but otherwise, it's kind of the cost of doing business at this stage of the game. I'm gonna go after the troublemaker. I don't need to... So, I don't exactly want to turn this into damning evidence unless I have to. The real advantage of having this inspector's job is it allows me to get rid of troublemaker for a temporary period of time. So what I mean, temporarily get rid of a troublemaker. So what I mean by that is, if I have to worry about a season of ambitions, I can investigate them. But if I use the damning evidence, then potentially I lock them away. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have Rhaenyra. And it's just because we were in a situation where following up with, not taking her might have meant that she advanced before we did. All right, I'm going to try the Red Church. Last time we had a fascination, the Secret Histories was actually behind both doors. I don't think that'll happen again, but you never know. All right. I still think it was the right call not to go behind the World Museum, just because the... Oh, my tea's done steeping, sorry. I still think it was the right call because we do have a season of Despair coming up, but obviously missing out on a Vagabond's map is always a bit of bad news. Okay, when I visited the Red Church last night, they told me, between their clawings and caresses, that the flower maker had visited but lately, with his nectar and his promise. I woke twinned in sodden sheets, with the amaranthine nectar brimming in my hand. I captured what I could of it, only a few drops, but this will be enough. Let's try and bring a little bit of order on. I definitely saw something peeking in there. I wonder if that's a hint that... Okay. Season of Sickness hits us in... Well, Season of Sickness has already passed, but the illness will hit us in a few seconds, so we'll heal that up. And we have another Season of Despair coming up, and I believe that is going to knock on from the last one, so again, I want to be kind of careful. 10 seconds for tampering with records. Obviously, this is very wasteful for Azim, but we have a few more missions we can send them on. And my minion has returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I'm a little safe. Alright, so, Snow's Keeper. A mountain peak temple of ill-omened aspect, jewel-bright, fungus slicks glow in the snow. None has come here in a generation, but still something moves within. We'll brave the mountain snows to reach the temple. If the dead rise against us, we'll suppress them. But there is a malignity here that we must suppress, or it will return home with us. So that's a pretty clear warning that there's a curse waiting for us. But honestly, we're near the end, so this is the time where we, we're willing to give up some traits. Also, if I need, I can subvert reason into passion. But reason definitely does help me more in the playthrough right now. I suppose I could be doing things with a talk verb. I don't really need to abduct anyone, so Saliba doesn't quite have a role. I'm not quite sure I want to repair all of the moonstones either. That would effectively take up all of my Spintra. Don't need to make corpses. Don't need to destroy evidence right now. So we'll hold off. Okay, so we are first going through the high passes. That will require some forge. Then we have the fretful dead. Not all the dead rest easy. These ones dislike our intrusion. So edge or winter there. And then finally the worms in the world, which need lantern or moth. So it's actually kind of a hodgepodge. What I think I'll do here, we'll start by adding Laidlaw. What I'll probably do after... I mean, I could add the 2 winter. Alright, I'll try and be proper. I only need the 1 moth, though, so that's not going to be too big of a problem. Alright, progress. The constant clatter of closing doors, the damp stains on the station walls, the smell of boot polish and unwashed constables. All this narrows to a single crystalline truth. I've made progress and earned myself some overtime pay. So, good for the tentative evidence, not good for my mood. Because I don't see how we avoid the... I don't see any situation where... I don't see a situation where anything happens but the dread goes in. I don't see how I can avoid it here. So we will move ahead. We'll get contentment where we can. I suppose that would come through painting. Oops. I need to remember to... So I think what happens here is I'm not actually letting it go into the slot before I click the button. Oh, this is nice. The Season of Ardors will give me the contentment I needed, so I actually didn't need to do this painting, but... Alright, call upon the Madrigad who quells and quiets. Let's try that again. Call upon the Madrigad who cannot be unbalanced. The hour called the Madrigad is at home in the cold. She will almost certainly keep us from falling. And I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know, so that's another Forbidden Epic for us. Again, there's no real difference between Forgotten Chronicles and Forbidden Epics, and honestly I should probably be doing the Forbidden Epic at this point, but it's a chance for me to clean out some of the other stuff, so I'll break the rules. Okay, so bleak thoughts, dark days, I must be careful not to let doubts creep in. Dread may provoke full-fledged despair. Frost Guard and Shivering, we've made it through the mountains. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So, more mystique. Some money, which I didn't really need, but happy to have. And no staleness. Okay. I'm curious what's coming up in 2 seconds, so I'm not that worried about the dread just because the contentment will come up. Okay, Season of Visions. I don't have that much to worry about there, so I didn't need money for it. Alright, I'm gonna take another minute just to get my notes up. Weird. Sorry, I've got a... this is actually a time where the Worm Museum might be appropriate. Okay. So the reason I said that was just the, if I've got a Season of Visions coming up, I can get fascination from the Red Church. I dreamt last night of the Worm Museum. The hours have set wards about it, and warnings before it, but they have left it open to mortal adepts who can prove themselves by reaching it. Perhaps they hope to inspire revulsion against the things that bred in the corpse of the sun. Those things are here still, always dying, never dead. They came from nowhere, the warnings say, and if they complete their work, the Mansis will be nowhere one day. Okay, so I do have to deal with this dread, but it's not an immediate concern. I do need to go to work. 3rd time's a charm. Okay, and yeah, again, I don't think there's a whole lot for me to do other than to try the Peacock door again. I'm less worried about the Season of Visions because we've got the Fleeting Reminiscence and we'll have a second one coming here. That said, I don't want to provoke fascination if I can avoid it. Okay, we will add a Moth Follower for... Actually, you know what? We should add the Moth Follower at the last moment. I say that because they may get attacked by the Restless Dead. Or, is it the Restless Dead? Fretful Dead. We call upon the Ivory Dove who knows the names of all the dead. The dead circle the edge of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. We must recognize that. Okay, another Season of Vision, so I want to keep my nose clean as far as any fascination is concerned. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to try the Worm Museum again. So just give me a second here. For some reason, I seem to have sleep on, despite the fact it's a long weekend, so I don't actually need to. I need to be up in time. No luck at all. Last night I visited the Worm Museum, which is both within the Mansis for security and without for safety. The hours have charged the Colonel with its defense, and even the Lionsmith does not challenge him here. Winter is the chiefest aspect of this place. The worms thrive where things end, but they can also be ended, and they must if the Mansis is to endure. This morning, the chilly certainty of the Colonel's hand still lies on my shoulder. If I could avoid, actually, you know what? I think a painting would be wouldn't be out of order here. Weary dead, the dead draw back, their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. Again, this is mostly because I can rather than because I need it. But am happy to say that we're making good time in terms of our expeditions. Alright, the expedition continues, so this is the time that we add a moth follower. So let's add... Porter, you've done well. And the artist's reward, my most recent work has accrued modest fame. My paintings have reviewed well. So there's the contentment we were looking for. We won't worry about this dread here because it's gone in a minute. Well, okay, if we have a season of despair coming up, actually, I guess I have to worry about it because there's no way I'm gonna... Well, okay, we'll take a minute and see what's actually coming up. Okay, we did get I mean, I suppose at this point, a pure passion painting wouldn't be out of the question. Okay, and it's the season of suspicion, so we're fine. I don't think I've ever had to deal with an unresolved ambiguity like this. I kind of feel like I get a free crack at the Worm Museum again for the simple reason that we've got the contentment to get rid of this. So, okay. Oops. There really weren't any good options there. I suppose taking the secret histories would have been better. Last night I visited the Worm Museum, which is both within the Mantis for security and without for safety. The hours have charged the Colonel with its defense, and even the Lionsmith does not challenge him here. Winter is the chiefest aspect of this place. The worms thrive where things end, but they can also be ended, and they must if the Mantis is to endure. This morning the chilly certainty of the Colonel's hand rests on my shoulder. So, this will make life interesting. I'm just gonna let the contentment expire. There's no reason for me to use up the dream slot. Okay, so we'll call upon the Laughing Thrush, who cannot be exhausted. We are almost certainly strong enough in Moth to be secure against the curse. Is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. And I've got another forbidden epic. Okay, so when we get a glimmering, we will work on that. I guess at this point... No, you know what? I'm going to risk it. Let's double up the forbidden epic, and I'm going to assume that I have the glimmering after a painting, which I will do immediately after the investigation. And that's going to be a full passion painting, so that does carry with it the risk of fascination. Investigation has turned up no new leads. Okay, so... Passion, 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 passion. This is partly just to get rid of the staleness, but obviously with the study going on, I have another reason for doing that. Now, I'm a little more reluctant to try the Worm Museum now because I am going to be at a point where I have okay, I hate that I'm doing this, but... Cool. So the worry, of course, is that we have 2 winter on the table right now, which means that a dread gets me my 3rd. Peacock door unsealed. The size in the Mantis is negotiable, and so last night in the Worm Museum I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, caged next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In dreams they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. The walls bear stories of the First and Second Worm Wars. The 3rd is too recent to have passed into the histories. Okay, so remembering that there are only 4 Lone and Level Sands locations, and if we've already visited one of them, we may actually should be able to start turning these into Port Noon anecdotes, but I don't want to rely on that quite yet. Okay, now it is worth noting... Oh no, hang on. The Season of Suspicion probably won't be a problem. With 30 seconds here, I think it'll take 30 seconds to generate the evidence, which means there won't be another investigation into me. All that I am is here, so I will probably have a fascination to deal with, but I'm hoping that we can cancel that out with one of the dread. The altar's garment. The interior of the temple throbs with luminescent fungi. We must peel them from the altar with our gloved hands before we can loot the place. It is cold and rain-chilled flesh. Our gloves now are stained with light. Our breath mists the temple's cold. Okay, so this one I think wants the library, yeah. Recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell, and it looks like we don't have staleness anymore, which is good. Also have a bit of contentment if I feel... Yeah, there's the fascination. Only one glimmering, which is a little surprising. Okay, Season of Ambition's coming up, so this is definitely something I want to use. Actually, this is going to get ugly. I'm going to run the clock out as long as I can on the inspector's position, because this is, I think, going to be a bit tricky. Okay, so I don't really want to tempt fate anymore on the, I don't really want to tempt the fate on the dread. Taking a look, so the last few times we've had now I don't think the entry at the Peacock door has anything to do with it, but we've had this happen. This is the third time we've had it happen. And the Red Church, there has been, that can't possibly have been dread. Oh, I get it. Sorry, I got an adjustment to make. So historically, it's been Grail. Cool. I saw the Red Church again last night, with its pews of bone, the stained glass in shades of ruby, the golden altar that beats like a heart. That night the names of the Grail gathered to speak of those long who'd sworn off the pleasures of the bedchamber, save between a man and man or woman and woman. They still pay the tribute of delight, an ivory said. They do not bear fruit, a lovely said. If Forge and Sun had only joined, a thirstly lamented. Then they fell to gossiping of the long of the House of Leaf, and their deeds in the desert. I remember it still. So, again, at this point we know we have the full Lone and Level Sands. I do regret not having a better idea in terms of what my what locations I've gone to, but we've got a few minutes left in this playthrough, and what I'll do before recording the last episode, I am going to get just a quick wish list in terms of places I want to go. Because after the Mausoleum of Wolves, my expectation is that we have everything in the Rending Mountains, and at that point I'll just be ticking off, basically ticking off books that I want from 2 more sets of vaults. Okay, let's just take a quick minute here to review. So the Icy Atmosphere, we've got another minute before we can do anything with the Fascination. Contentment's not going to count for anything. So yes, there's no reason for me to use the dream slot for anything other than the Peacock store right now. And like I said, we're going to run out the clock on the inspector's position before we tried anything. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues, so that's also some good news there. Just saves me the trouble of sending the Caligan out to destroy some evidence. Place Behind desire. Is there something to be learned from the satisfaction of desire? We read this before, but I'll just try it again. So the interior of the temple throbs with luminescent fungi. We must peel them from the altar with our gloved hands before we can loot the place. It is cold as rain-chilled flesh. Our gloves are now stained with light. Our breath mists the temple's cold. The treasures that unknown priests left here in a pitiful huddle of bones. A sacrifice? Or did a later visitor end their visit here? The glowing fungus has etched their skeleton with its acids. We have an enigmatic sculpture. An elaborate ivory sculpture of impossible intricacy around and across its surfaces. Sanskrit inscriptions spiral against matching lines of Vak. If you speak Sanskrit, you can use this to learn Vak, the first language of the world. Where has she gone? A discussion in Vak of the Vagabond's travels. Now, this feels like one that I've gotten at some point before, but I can't see how I would have gotten it. So again, I'm just going to attribute it to, you know, me letting all the playthroughs sort of run together. We have a furious sliver. When the lionsmith turned against the colonel, he crushed his own sword in his fist. Each tiniest fragment of that weapon still thrills with rage. So, level 12 edge item. I do wish I had a better organization system for my items, but we'll worry about that later. Hallowed Polos, the ring crown of a savage mother stained with essence, woven with scraps of hair, and blessed with flecks of skin. The dream of the conspiracy of the lower skies, siftings of the disgraced oracle Daemon Azanatan. And a whole bunch of people. So again, we don't need to worry about the Kalagine destroying any evidence, so we will just put the 2 summons in to extend their life. We'll add the funds. The Mausoleum of Wolves. This chilly monument was built long before Rome fell. Stone wolves watched the door. A chamber within was carved from rock to await fragments of the sun at its prophesied funeral procession. That procession never came, but still the dead are drawn here. Did the sun ever come here when its death was pronounced? Perhaps that pronouncement was premature. In any case, if we usurp its progress, we'll have to face avalanches, furious ghosts, and a door sealed by adept architects. Let's be ready. And again, I'm gonna really test my luck with the inspector's position. This will be good. This will also help in terms of this will give me another glimmering in a few seconds for study. So I'm hoping that ties them up long enough for us to take advantage of the season. Expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I could send another follower. So these we need edge or winter. I mean, with Azim, we pretty much can pass any winter, or so any edge challenge. I think I'm still gonna try and bring in the Winter Brigade. Knock is a piece of cake. So yeah, we'll add Violet and Eau Claire, and then money at some point. The place behind desire. This is something like enlightenment. I don't know if this will still be useful to us by the end of this little challenge. But we'll hope for the best. All right, back to note keeping. So we've got fascination at the Peacock door. So my expectation, of course, would be that the secret histories would be behind the Worm Museum. I'm gonna risk it. We'll probably get a Dread, though, or at the very least a Winter. Okay. So here's the thing. this time around, it really has been alternating secret histories between the Red Church and the Worm Museum. So it, like, to be clear, I believe I have something written down now that shows that it doesn't follow that pattern. But in terms of default behaviors, it really is the one, that's delivered the most in terms of the outcome that I'm looking for. Size in the mantis is negotiable, and so last night in the Worm Museum, I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, caged next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In dreams, they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. Their walls bear stories of the first and second worm wars. The third is too recent to have passed into the histories. Alright, so I think this is going to be where I wrap it up. I know the last couple of episodes have been about 10 minutes too long, and I know people say that they prefer the longer episodes, but I think... I need to double check the data stuff, but I think actually revealed preferences are that they are not as popular as the others. But it could also just be that my later episodes are also deeper into the playthrough, and I tend to notice that there's a lot more interest in the start of the runs rather than the ends. And that makes sense, right? Like, you'll always want to start at the start, but if it's not for you... Like, clearly 100% of people who watch this stuff are not going to see it to the end, and that's just the way it is. That's like, getting mad that people don't finish video games. But yeah, I don't know. I try to listen to what people say, but I also try to, like, you're never going to get an honest answer to these things because people don't necessarily know. Like, if you could make creative works by committee, there'd be more people doing it, or at least more organizations doing it. So it's always good to use the information that you can get. But again, if I'm going to spend the time, I should spend it playing, not jabbering. So, or at the very least, if I'm talking, I should be talking about the game. So, in terms of future plans, I'm going to take a little bit of time to see what texts I have, what texts I need. We're in pretty good shape for finishing this one. We may need to spend some money, we may get some wounds, but overall, we will, we'll be able to say goodbye to the Rending Mountains. I do want to try and eliminate the dread that's coming up with the chilly atmosphere. We'll still have an icy atmosphere remaining. We might be able to deal with that through painting. And then, yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say we're at the point where it's probably 1.5 more regions until we get all of our books. So 1 or 2 weeks more for this playthrough. I know this is one of the longer ones, but I'm actually quite glad that I did it, because there was definitely times when it seemed like it couldn't work, and maybe it won't. I've gotten pretty lucky. There were a couple of times when there was a real danger of the playthrough ending. So there were a couple of times when the evidence started to pile up. There's a genuine risk that they don't ask for one of your followers, they ask for you. And if you don't have the favor from authority, if you don't have if you don't have what it takes to get out of it, doesn't really matter how well you played before. But anyways, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you tomorrow with what should be the last episode for the week. Again, I kind of did one off for everything, so I'll double check that all the dates are lined up. See you then.